The one thing I will do is I'll open this up just to show that there is nothing within the quote itself. So what I do now is I go into the bill of materials. Oh, hang on a minute. I've forgotten to add a user to the hunt group. So within the bill of materials, before you build bill of materials based on your call flow design, it will do a quick check and a business rules check on everything that you've built to make sure you haven't forgotten something that is required for that particular call flow. So in the case of the hunt group, it's actually said you've forgotten to put users in your dingbat. Put users in. So if I go now, I put some users in, some executive users. Again, I can add add-ons and devices. Hit save. I go out and back in, it gives me the green tick. So it's done all its checks and said, look, you know what, you've done all right. So you should be all good with the licensing and everything that's on there within the call flow design. So the next thing you do is you hit next. So review users and bombs. So what this does is it gives you some review questions, just so you can check to make sure that you've thought about everything within the call flow. And if you're happy with that, you can then hit next. Before I do that, I'll do that. I hit next and generate the bomb. So now add call flow products and create the bomb. As you saw, it added all the products that I added within the call flow to the bill of materials. So, you know, that saves you a lot of time. When you build that call flow, it automatically does all that information within that amount of time, instead of you having to go back and forth and work out what you've built, what license do you need, all that sort of thing. So next off, I'm going to hit up the top here. As you see, there's a tab called licenses. I'm going to hit on licenses. So what you can do here is you can actually add extra licenses that you haven't added in there. So you might want to add another executive user. There might just be a phone that isn't involved in this call flow. It might be just a phone for, say, the CEO of the company that he just needs, but doesn't want to be involved in the call flow at all. So you can add that, and as you see down here, it's added another license. The other cool thing about this is that if I click on an executive user here, it will actually show me everything that is in an executive user. So it says everything in the office user, including busy lamp field, call forwarding selection, do not disturb, call park, call pickup, everything else on that list. But the other cool thing is you can actually see all the compatible add-ons that you can add. So things like GoKara, Supervisor Web App, Go Integrated Database Integration, basic call queues, an iCall suite, agents, and all that sort of stuff. So that allows you to see what you're able to add to that particular user or service that you're adding to the quote. And of course, you've got other add-ons like fax or email as well, which will add to the licenses here. As I'll go into devices. So within devices, you can click on a device, and if it has a picture, it will show the picture and you can look up more information. It has guides here, all that sort of thing. I'm going to use this a little bit later. So the OB, I'm going to add as a device. And as you can see, it's added the OB. So you can select any of the devices that are available in there and add them. So, you know, if you're using Yay links or anything like that, you can add them and it'll give you the price. The really cool thing about this is you can add direct indials to the quote. So say, for example, I add 10 number range to the quote. What's really cool about here is if I go down the bottom here, it gives me the option, if you've got over 5 numbers, it gives you the option to only have a Cat C for 10 numbers. So you can then add that to the quote if you want to, so that, you know, you're not missing out on those porting fees. You know that they're there, you know that you're charging your client for them. I'm not going to add them, but at least they're there and available, and they automatically come up depending on the selection that you give. The other one is additional fees. Now, what this is really cool for is if you want to add to your quote any additional fees, you can put support and maintenance fees, you can put site installation fees, and in the premium version, it allows you to have a price book. So a custom price book that you can pull this information into, and it's here all the time. Whereas in the free version, you have to rebuild it every quote that you do. So if I add this to here, as an example, I go like that, and I add 1. So adding 1, $100, it's added the $100 to the bottom here for a site installation. The other cool thing you can do is if you want to add another additional fee, so you want to add a monthly fee, you can add the monthly fee or a once-off fee. You put the name in, put the description of what it is, put in the category, put in the price, quantity of those items. Of course, you can update that once you've added it anyway. But the cool thing is you can add it as a once-off or monthly fee. And then last but not least, is the review section. So if I go into the review section, I think this is one of the parts that really saves a hell of a lot of time when it comes to quoting clients. So what it's doing now is it's building the proposal for you. So what you can do is you can edit the custom image up here. So you can put the customer image up there. So you would do that through the customer logo part up here in the customer details. I can add contact details, but I'll go through them in a little bit. So if I scroll down through here, you've got the ability to have an executive summary. You can take these parts out as you want to as well. So executive summary, I mean, it's in Latin at the moment, but you can edit this executive summary, fill in whatever you want to be in the executive summary about whether it's about the company or it's about the proposal that you've built. You've then got the company profiles. The cool thing with the company profile is, as you see there, we've got access for company profile. So we've set that at our top enterprise, and that flows down to every proposal that we build within the CPQ tool. So what you can do is at enterprise level is set that up at your enterprise, at your reseller enterprise, and then that will flow down to the company profile within all of your proposals. You can still edit it if you want to and add more things, but it is there and it's good, because you don't really want to change your company profile every time. So for it, the leak down is fantastic. And then we move down to the solution details. So it gives you all the information around what an IVR with time of day routing is, what the home group with time of day routing is, what the core CPQ with time of day routing is, and all the information that you need that you put into the quote. Of course, it's also got the ATA here, so it gives you a bit of information about the ATA itself, because a lot of clients, when you offer them a product, they want to understand the product. Site installation, of course, what the fees are for the slide installation, description of that. Then you've got the fees and charges. So here's the fees and charges for the quote. And when you create the quote, so what would normally happen is the solution details would be here. So you would have the call flow design tool. So the call flow that I built in the first section would be here within the call flow design tool, and you'll be able to send that out as part of the proposal. So what we can do here is hit the send button. And if you've got a peer review process within the company, you can sit there and hit send to, and you can send it to someone within the company. So I could send it myself, I could send it to Luke, or I could send it to Saj, and get them to look at the quote, make sure they believe that what I've done is the best thing for the client, and then they can respond, and then we can then go on and add the client details. So within the client details, what that will do is if I hit save, what that will allow me to do is then send to Jenny Smith. So I can now then send that to the client, now have them sign it off, and literally you're getting it back within SaaS Boss. And other things you can do, you can add some comments here. So if you've got multiple people working on this quote or anything like that, you can add comments in there so they understand the changes that you've made and anything like that as well.